Why does it feel like I'm stuck in career limbo? Why am I waiting for someone else to notice my value? Why does job searching feel like throwing resumes into a black hole? Am I missing something, or is it time to change the game? If these questions are running through your mind, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Hire Me Please Career Podcast. I'm Gemma Lopez, career coach and recruiting expert, and this season is all about taking back control of your career. No more waiting for permission, no more playing small. I'm here to help you ditch the doubt, advocate for yourself, and land a role that excites you. From navigating career pivots to negotiating what you're really worth, we're uncovering the real, unfiltered strategies that you need to know. No gatekeeping here. So, if you're ready to go from feeling stuck to thriving in your career, let's do this. So, I'm going to cut to the chase and just start with this. You have way more skills than you're giving yourself credit for. I've talked to so many high-achieving professionals, directors, senior managers, even VPs, who have come to me saying, I don't know if I have the right experience to make a move. Or they say something along the lines of, well, I'm looking at job postings and they require this many years of experience in this specific area that I don't have. Therefore, I can't make a move because I can't afford to start over. And my response after listening is usually, that is complete bullshit, which, as you can imagine, results in looks of surprise and, most importantly, self-doubt. But here's my point of view. If you've spent the last 10, 15, or even 20 years leading teams, driving strategy, and making things happen, then you, my friend, are sitting on a gold mine of transferable skills. The problem isn't that you don't have the experience. The problem is that you're so used to operating at a high level that you don't even see the value in what you do every day. You are so close to your work that you can't even imagine doing something else. And the thought of operating in a different capacity just makes your brain shut down and say, nope, not going to happen. And that is what we're fixing today. By the end of this episode, you'll not only see your skills in a new way, but you'll know exactly how to articulate them so that you can step confidently into that next big career move. And this applies to you whether you're moving up the ladder, you're breaking into a new industry, you're launching your own business, you're transitioning to consultancy, really any place that you can utilize relevant and transferable skills, this is for you. And please, 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 please take me up on this. If you still don't believe that this is true, please hop on a call with me so I can personalize this to you and to your experience and really just show you. And you can book a free 30-minute strategy call with me at mycoachgemma.com, or the link is in the show notes. Easy peasy. So let's get started. What exactly are transferable skills? Well, I'll start by telling you what they aren't. They aren't some entry-level soft skills checklist. They aren't the fluffy, vague nonsense that people throw on resumes when they don't have real experience. Transferable skills, or more specifically, your transferable skills, they are your executive level capabilities, the ones that have made you successful in every role that you've ever had. And we can break this down further. These are the exact skills that make CEOs, consultants, and top-tier executives so damn valuable. And you have these skills too. So I'll go through some of the common ones that I see just to kind of get your head spinning and your wheels turning to see what the transferable skills you have specifically. But the first one that comes to my mind is strategic thinking. If you've built initiatives from the ground up, you've scaled teams, and driven results. That is a skill that is also transferable to a different job, a different department, a different industry, a different company. It is a very relevant transferable skill. Another one is high stakes decision making. You've made tough calls, you didn't have all the information, and you've owned the outcomes. That's you. Business development and relationship building. This one is huge because every single job that I've ever held has had relationship building at the forefront. So if you've cultivated high level relationships, high level partnerships, if you've led negotiations and driven revenue growth, then you have that skill. Another one that's really common that people overlook is operational excellence. If you know how to optimize systems, streamline processes, and increase efficiency, which I'm pretty sure you do, that's your skill. Another big one is change management and change leadership. Because the world is constantly changing, especially the corporate world, I'm sure that you've navigated restructures, acquisitions, mergers, reductions in force, right? Lean workplaces, any market shifts, any unpredictable challenges, probably more times than you can count. So let's be real. These are the same skills that top executives get paid millions of dollars for. The only difference is how you package them. And that's what I'm going to talk about next. But before I do that, let me pull back the curtain and give you a little behind the scenes insight that you may or may not be aware of. Sales is sales. Marketing is marketing. Project management is project management. Recruiting is recruiting. IT is IT. And I mean, I can go on. But my point is that across every company, every industry, every organization, these core functions are the same. Sure, there are nuances, there's different tools, different company goals, but at the heart of it, the foundational skills don't change. And you know how I know this? Because I've done this. And I've also helped other people do this. I've moved across industries without starting over, time and time again. And more importantly, without moving backwards in title, in responsibility, in salary. In fact, I would usually go up a level when I would change industries. And the reason why I was able to do that, how I could go from one industry to another, one vertical to another, each time moving up, is because I knew the skills that actually mattered. So I'll give you a real life example. In recruiting, the only things that ever changed from job to job were the processes, the products, the companies, my stakeholders, the types of roles that I was filling. But at its core, recruiting remained the same. And sometimes my title had staffing in it. Sometimes it was talent acquisition, sometimes people. Sometimes I was a manager or a business partner or a team lead. All different names, but still the same transferable skill set. And that's the moral of the story. You have to stop getting lost in the trees so that you can see the whole forest. Your job title, it's just packaging. And your industry is just a container. The real value, the thing that makes you super irreplaceable and indispensable, is your ability to solve problems, drive strategy, and lead. And that's what we're going to cover next. But if you're thinking, okay, Gemma, I hear you, but I still don't know how this translates to my next move. Let me walk you through a simple process to uncover the value that you bring to the table. So if you're listening to this, maybe brainstorm as I'm talking, but if not, come back to this episode and just write these questions down, whether you do it on pen and paper or if you do it in a notepad, whatever works best for you. But if you do this work, I promise you, you will be more confident when looking at opportunities outside what you normally look at. And the first step is to reverse engineer your biggest wins. So I want you to think about the last 5 to 10 years or the last 2 roles that you've held. What are the biggest challenges that you tackled? What projects, strategies, or initiatives are you most proud of? Did you turn around an underperforming division? Did you land a multi-million dollar deal that changed the trajectory of your company? Did you scale a team from 5 people to 50 people? Did you build an entire department from scratch? Did you create a company-wide training for every employee? Did you implement processes and systems to organize and streamline things that are still in place today? Now, if you're nodding your head and have done these things, I really want you to know that this is not just part of the job. That's high value, transferable experience. The next step is to identify the patterns in your career. Look at your last 3 jobs. What is the common thread in all of them? What challenges do you keep getting pulled into to solve? You can even take this a step further and talk to your peers, your coworkers or your leaders, and really just find out what they think. What is your zone of genius? What is your unique ability? Maybe you're the person who streamlines chaos into structure. Maybe you're the person who builds high performing teams from scratch. Maybe you're the person who knows how to take an idea and turn it into a revenue generating machine. Again, these are not job titles. They're skills that can be applied anywhere. So, a question that I usually get after kind of having this discussion and doing this work with my clients is, okay, I get the concept, but how do I actually start pulling out the skills that matter? And I'll give you an easy way to get started with this. And this is again work that I've done with my clients. So I think that this is golden, and it's a great way to again identify what your skills are and be able to just look at your career in a different light and not just these are the outcomes, this is my job title, this is what I did, but like really what were the skills that you leaned on? What were your strengths? Like what did you take with you from job to job and what did you leave behind? So I want you, again, either pause this, grab a notebook, open up a doc on your computer, whatever works for you. Come back to this if you need to. And we're going to start by literally making a timeline of every role that you've had. You can also use your resume for this if you don't want to, think from memory. But for each role, ask yourself, what skills did I take with me into my next job? And what I mean by that is, I'll give you a personal example. So, in recruiting, there is always a request for more visibility into what the recruiters are doing, how many applicants are in play, how many candidates are interviewing, how many candidates did it take to phone screen before they went to the first round interview, and basically how many of them were going through the funnel. And I've seen it done so many ways. I've seen spreadsheets or emails or weekly meetings or daily stand-ups, like so many different ways to share this information because for some reason, no one ever goes into the applicant tracking system other than the recruitment team. And also, it's been a challenge, and this has been the entire career that I've had. So at one job that I had, I really, really liked the way that we used a project management tool. And how we did that is the recruitment team was able to track their pipelines and just kind of give visibility to the hiring managers. Typically, back in the day when I started recruiting, we were doing this on whiteboards. So we were actually I would write down all the candidates on a whiteboard so that I would remember them. And by setting up this project management tool, I was able to do it with Kanban cards, just similar to Trello. That way, it was super easy to click on a pipeline, see who the candidates were, share that all with the managers so that anyone could kind of look in and check in to see, oh, okay, this is how many people, oh, they're working on it, whatever. Of course, not everybody did that. They didn't check, they would email, all of that jazz. But it was a really cool way to have a source of truth and also a real time update on how recruiting was going for every role. Once I saw how that tool worked, and the adoption rate of that and how I continue to refer to it. And it was easy. Everybody used the project management tool in their own day to day. I took that with me to every single job after that. I was like, hey, what tools are we using? What tool are the managers already on? So that is something that I brought with me, is how to track the recruitment process and who's in the pipelines, and how do we give this visibility to the hiring managers so that it's easy for them to understand, easy for them to digest, and is just a source of truth. So that is one thing that I took with me to another job. And honestly, that I still use to this day. So if you have a way of doing things, whether it's a checklist or a process or tool or whatever you can think of that you've gotten from one job and taken to the next, where you're like, oh, we used to do this really fun team building exercise. And then you take that to the next, and then your, employee NPS scores go up. Like, that's an example of how you took a skill from one job to another. The next question for you is, what responsibilities did I leave behind? And it could be that you didn't like to do them, so you delegated them, you outgrew them. Things that come to my mind when I think of this is administrative tasks and perhaps other things that I've delegated. Like I said, every company is different, but that's just a way for you to see, okay, what growth is here, and it could be like that you used to create reports and pull reports together, but then you found a way to automate them and put them more in, a streamlined process. And now you don't track data manually anymore. You have it done by automation. So that's another example. And the last question is, what skills did I develop? So again, ask yourself for each role, what skills did I take with me into the next job? What responsibilities did I leave behind? And what skills did I develop? And this is such a powerful exercise because it forces you to look at your career evolution, not just as a timeline of jobs or a collection of positions you've held, but as a strategic progression of skills. And I'll give you a deeper example from my own career, just so that you can kind of understand a little bit further. So when I started my career, I started out solely focused on recruiting. So I was finding candidates, filling roles, and handling hiring logistics. Think scheduling interviews, moving people through the process, getting things approved by finance, extending offers, like that type of thing. But as I moved up, I wasn't just recruiting anymore. I was managing relationships with hiring managers. I was advising on workforce planning. I was working really closely with C-suite and helping leaders to really think strategically about when to hire, when to scale back, and how to allocate resources. Now, at first, I didn't think much about it, right? Because I was just doing my job. But when I looked back and I did this exercise myself, I realized that what I was really doing was developing business operations expertise, strategic workforce planning, and executive advising. Now, those aren't recruiting skills. Those are high-level, transferable leadership skills that apply to any industry. Does that make sense? Do you see the difference there? I guarantee that you've had the same experience. Maybe you started in sales, but gradually became the person that coached and mentored the team. That's leadership development. Maybe you started in finance and eventually became the go-to person for breaking down complex data for executives, even putting these pretty dashboards together. That's business intelligence and strategic communication. So this timeline exercise is just such an eye-opener. It was for me because it helps you see the skills that you've been building all along. And once you see them, you can start leveraging them to position yourself for your next move. All right, so now that you've identified your skills, how do you sell them in a way that makes someone say, I need to hire this person? Well, here's what most people do. Most people list their job title and responsibilities, but no one hires a VP just because they've managed budgets or led teams. They hire people that create results. So what you need to do instead is You need to position yourself as the solution to a business challenge. And here's a simple formula for you. Instead of saying, I was responsible for operations across 3 regions, say, I led a strategic operational overhaul that reduced costs by 30% and increased efficiency across 3 global markets. You see the difference there? It's more focused on outcome and skill than just responsibilities. Instead of saying, I led the sales team, you could say, I built and led a high-performing sales team that increased revenue by $50 million in 18 months. Now, this is the exact same person, but one version is forgettable, and the other highlights your skills and makes you look like an absolute rock star. Now, one of my clients that was a director of marketing who wanted to transition into consulting, I'll tell you this story. At first, she wasn't sure how to position herself. But when we broke it down, she realized that she had built entire brand strategies, she launched global campaigns, and had driven millions of dollars in revenue. We worked together to rebrand her as a high-level marketing strategist. And within just 3 months, she had landed 3 consulting clients. And she really, because of the fees that she was charging, she really didn't need to get any more clients, but she did, and she's still doing it to this day. Another client of mine was a VP of finance who wanted to pivot into a C-suite role. He wanted to be a COO. When we mapped out his experience, it was clear he wasn't just a finance guy like he thought he was. He was a business operations expert. He had optimized systems, he had improved profitability, and he had led several large-scale transformations. With this insight, we positioned him in a different light, and he landed a COO position at a startup shortly after. So let's bring this home. Here's what I want you to take away from today's episode. You already have the skills that you need for your next career move. Your experience is an asset. You just need to package it strategically. And the right opportunity is waiting, but you have to position yourself for it. And again, if you want me to walk you through this process step by step, let's get on a call. It's 30 minutes, completely free, no commitment. But I get so heartbroken when I hear people feel that they're so stuck because they don't know what else they can do, and they get discouraged when they're looking at job postings, and they're just focused on titles and just the keywords they see on the screen. They're not thinking strategically. They're not diving into their skill set. They're not really looking at their experience in the way that they should be. And I can help you map out your transferable skills and position yourself for what's next. Because your next career move is waiting. You just have to go after it. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I will see you again next week. Hey friend, if this episode gave you an aha moment, I want to hear about it. You can connect with me on LinkedIn and tell me your biggest takeaway. Or you can even send a message right here in the show notes. And if you're done spinning your wheels and ready to take action, real action, towards a career that excites you, let's talk about it. You can book a free career strategy call with me at mycoachgemma.com. And let's get you moving forward towards a career that you love.